Well, good evening, Mike, and anyone else that might be on, but they're not on yet. Tonight, I'm going to be doing the usual. Let me bring my camera over here and put it on the usual spot for you guys to watch the solder spectacular, I guess. And yeah, so one of the things I do is for the Javi boxes is I'm going to take a little a little buck, a bootstrap or a buck strap, or they go by a million different names. And I am going to take my, hang on, let me see if I can get this. Well, you could see out of the corner there, you could see the turn on my uh, my wonderful little bench. I don't even know what to call it. Power supply. And let's see. Let me go for the 36 volts, and boom, I got 36 volts. So now I shall tune, if you will, tune my little. Hey, Dave, how's it going? Okay, in is this side. I always like to tune them first before I start installing because it's just a pain in the butt to do it afterwards. Oh, goodness gracious. Bit of a mess here. There we go. All right, so connect my power to this thing. Okay, let's see. Here we go. 17. We'll fix that. How's everybody doing today? Let's see. Okay, this one I'm going to make it 24. So tune to 24. 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. There it is. 24, 24, 1. A little more or less, never mattered. Get that little tiny sensitivity. Yeah, 23.9 is good enough. 24, there we go. All right. So there's our there's one of them. Let's go ahead and power up the other one and see what happens. This is the 24 volts. And we'll have another little power supply for 12 volt. Yep. That's a beautiful thing. Any finer and I'd be in jail. Yes. That's how I feel today. Just a good day. Just relaxing. Okay, so we have our 20 or 36 volt rather. And this one I'm going to make it 12. Ah, well, it helps if I actually have the other one connected. So this one, I'm missing a lead on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and solder it on. Hey, Ed, how's it going? How's everybody doing today? Everybody happy, healthy? Tomorrow, I am looking forward to getting my my trailer, sealing my trailer. I got some tape. It's just been over the last couple of months. My whoops, one of my trailers. Hang on a second. Just concentrate on this for a second. The last couple of months, my trailer has wear and tear, basically wear and tear. Oh shoot, it helps if I actually tune it, because I just put the put the leads on it, but I didn't actually adjust it, and that would not be good if I connect it to the 12-volt fans and it's more than 12 volts, which it normally is in the 17 to 20 volt range. There it is, 18. So let's go ahead and adjust that to where we need it to be. Hey, Bobby, how's it going? Good, everything going well. Let me see here. Here we go. Come on, get in there. All righty. You know, sometimes they don't make these exactly right or perfect, and the these little brass things. Let me see if I can find a different screwdriver for it. Yeah. See if this one's any finer. Some of these are. There we go. All right, let me up. Yeah, see, it's the screw, the slot in the brass screw sometimes isn't perfect, and it's too thin, and I don't want to use an eyeglass screwdriver on these things. I'd rather just, because I have to go fetch it. So I have to keep putting it back in. I could twist it once, and then it just slips right off. Oh, 1111, too much. Now, okay. 12 even. Wow, right on the nose. Okay, perfect. So that's that one. We have our two power supplies. Now we'll start turn off my my power supply here, my bench power supply, and we'll go ahead and start wiring. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Hey, Matt, if you're bored, I'll send you a link. I could always use the conversation. I'm just chilling here, relaxing. I'm a little too relaxed. Normally I spend like, maybe an hour or so in the jacuzzi in the afternoon, especially on good days. Today I was like there for 3 hours. It was just such a slow day. You got it. Let me send you the thing. What do the limit switches look like? I'll show you right now. Hang on, I gotta. Where in the world did I put? Okay, I'll show you right now, Mike. Give me a sec. Let's see here, and this would be Matt, and this would be sending a link, and that should do it. All right, so let me go ahead and move the camera a little. So get the whole picture this time. Put this away. And let's see. And of course, Russ Meadows is working in his place, so he's not going to be able to swing by. I mean, I always send Russ the invitation, and if he can join, he joins. If not, hey, good evening, Matt. How's it going?
Hi, Mr. Javi.
How's everything going for you?
Couldn't be better, my friend.
That's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Let me stop the stream. There we go. I stopped the stream online. I was hearing double talk.
It's quite okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw your pictures in the hot tub. I was like, "Ooh, man, that looks like fun."
It is. I do that every day. Every day.
Very nice.
I
you have
am
it out there on the property?
No, this is actually, I'm here at the house.
Oh.
Yeah, the property, it's things going on the property. I don't know how up to date you are, but
no, I need a full briefing.
Well, I'll make it as short as possible because I'm sure my viewers are tired of hearing the same story over and over.
Sorry, viewers. Apologize.
But basically, a neighbor did not like the RV, apparently. Maybe considers it an eyesore, and rather than introducing himself to me and calling me up, he just called the county directly. Because I found out from the county that the building department basically told me that, because I asked, now granted, this is a different department. This is the building department as opposed to the actual code compliance. But since it's all kind of one big thing and they know each other, they basically told me, "Oh yeah, we usually don't pursue those things unless a neighbor reports it." So in the end, a neighbor reported it, container and the RV. So what happens is, I'm not allowed to have an RV on the property. Even though it's my property.
RV's just nothing wrong with that.
You got to have a building on it first. That's the problem. You cannot have an RV on vacant land. That's one. They don't. I guess they don't want
a Breaking Bad. This is my own private domicile.
Yeah. I wish it worked that way, but unfortunately. So the RV, they gave me 30 days, and I next time I went up, I got rid of it. That's not an issue. But the container, I spoke to them. They gave me 120 days for the container. And now what they did say is if I get a permit, if I pull a permit to build a house, then yeah, I could have an RV, I could have a construction trailer, I could have anything I want. I just have to pull when I pull the application, I got to pull permits for those things, which is not a problem. I already talked to zoning and I already talked to building. It's a done deal. However, so I tried to rush the situation. I tried to.
Last time I heard, it was an accelerated timeline.
It's an accelerated timeline. That's exactly what I was shooting for because. So I got a local architect. I did all the plans myself. I mean, I've been a draftsman. I've been in construction all my life, so they're perfect, and they haven't changed the thing. But since they have to be stamped by a licensed architect, I gave my digital plans to the architect. The architect didn't do a thing. All they did was look at the plans, and they have to review them because they're putting their name and their reputation on it. But they looked it over. They didn't change a single line of my plans, and then when I got them back, at that point, I'm the one that changed them. There's a couple doors that I wanted them to swing a different way. Again, minimal stuff, and I forgot to put side lights on the front door because I want side lights, not just a plain 3-foot door. I want and I don't want a double door. I can't stand that crap. So. I gave them that. This was at the end of September. They finally had the plans ready because they had COVID and all this, so they couldn't even look at them for 2 weeks. Well, so 3-4 weeks later, on October 1st, I reviewed them. I told them, good to go, proceed. And then they sent them to the truss department, who is working on the plans now. So I expect when I get there, now here's the thing. They told me it would take about 3 to 4 weeks for the truss plans. That being said, I have all the information needed for the permit, including the money. And it's going to be like $15,000 or $20,000 because of impact fees. But there's going to be a steep permit. But everything's all good to go. The problem is, I also spoke to building, and they said they take about 3 to 4 weeks to approve the plans, which is no problem. In my old timeline, I could take my time. No big deal. I've got 1.5 years before I'm going to move in. So even building it myself, it'll take me 6 to 9 months. So that's not going to be an issue. 1.5 years, plenty of time. However, and we could stay here at home as long as I want. So it's not like, if it's delayed, it's a problem either.
You're not renting a hotel room.
I'm not renting a hotel room. Yeah, exactly. But, well, I wanted to rush it so I can get the RV back on the site. A neighbor graciously said, hey, you can keep the RV at my house. And that's what I'm storing it. But then I drop because I'm not going to be, but when I'm there, I'm at a neighbor's place. Yeah, let them try to find out which neighbor, and give him a code enforcement. I dare them. Look through the
It's
whole.
It's going to be obvious. You're going to see it. It's a trailer.
yeah, exactly.
But
and here's the thing:
they have no legal standing.
Legally, no one can occupy a trailer in the county. Occupy. Even, when I build my house, I can put the trailer on my property anywhere I want because it's 5 acres. Anywhere I want. If it was less than 2 acres, I have to put it behind a 6-foot fence or something ridiculous like that. If it was on a county road, I'm not even on a county road, so it makes no difference. Well, but I cannot occupy the trailer. So if your kids want to stay camping overnight in the trailer for fun, they can't do that legally.
Yeah. Which
is the most asinine rule that I have ever been witness to. Even here in Miami, of all the bureaucracies in the world, one of the biggest. And here in Miami, I can park my RV out in front of my house and stay there for 14 days because, they understand that people come and visit. And well, anyway, Cousin Eddie.
Right. There's an RV.
There's an RV. Yeah. As long as I don't pour my the shitter down the sewage. Anyway, that's horrible. So what happens? So timeline wise, I expect on my next visit, which is next weekend, and I'm going to be there every day. I'm staying at either my friend's house or a state park, whichever is more convenient. I'll stay there for 10 days, and I go every single day to my property. So it's a big inconvenience for me to have to drive just to go to sleep somewhere and then come back. It's a complete stupidity. But timeline wise, when I get there, I'm probably going to have all the plans ready. If I were to submit them now, my next week, say October 1st, it would not be until close to November 1st when I get them approved. I have until the 5th. Hey, Paul. Good evening. I have until the 5th if I wanted to, to obtain a permit. So I didn't want to push it. So I ended up saying, look, screw it, forget it. I sold the trailer for more money than I for close to double what I purchased it for.
Oh, that
Oh
doesn't hurt.
yeah, I got a deal and a half on it. So I sold it at a steal to the person and a steal to me. I mean, and it was fantastic. And the thing's intact. You know, I took out I gutted it. Well, I'm gutting it this week, next week. You know, and then on the 5th, I'm still working on a transport company to move it, but you wouldn't believe how difficult they are to find. You know, I could probably put on Facebook Marketplace and find it in a second, but I'm trying to search on my own for it. And every time I put transport and moving and container and stuff like that, I get pods. I get the stupid storage places, moving and storage, tons of them. I don't get any transport companies, you know. So
Interesting.
because I got the guy that wants it, and he's going to pay me, you know, to move it. In fact, I'm going to make money on the move as well. But they have to. Well, anyway, bottom line is it's going away on the 5th, and then I'll continue as always. But now I can take my time. I'm not stressed. I don't have to. You know, I want to make sure the plans are ready, so I don't have to pay more money later for changes and you know and reinspection fees, et cetera, et cetera. And the other big thing that I wanted to do is now I can take my time and submit not only the plans, but the plans for the shop at the same time. Because I have to put a deposit of like 35%, which comes out to like another 15 grand for the steel building in order to get the plans, the foundation plans and all the plans, so I can submit them along with, because if I submit them at the same time, then the garage and the house is permitted at the same time. If I submit them separately, there's a chance they won't approve the garage until the house is built. And then the whole point of the garage is so I can store all my tools and store my materials and not let the drywall get wet and all that. If not, I have to deal with.
You have to make room for yourself. Make room for hobby.
Make room for hobby. I'm telling you.
Wow.
But anyway, it's the cluster, you know what, you know. But
I hope you're not sharing any of the inconvenience of the local government with our friend Eloy Escojedo, because I know he loves local government in Florida.
Oh yeah, I have, and I haven't talked to him in like 4 months. I gotta give him
government.
Oh, with a passion. He and I share that about. Well, that's the whole reason that it was a combination of things. The move. I had some. I have some properties here in South Florida, and in Eloy's wonderful city. And one of them I sold for close to $500,000. Because here's the thing. I don't know if you know that whole story, but this one I'll make under 30 seconds. Hopefully, I had a tenant. One phase of their power went out. They called FPL. FPL said this box is bad. They shut down the power. They bridged it and told them you have 10 days before we come back and shut down the power. We need a permit to turn it back on. So I called. I put in for a permit to change the box, to change the meter box. Hired an electrician, changed the meter box. When the electrical inspector came by, one of the tenants pissed him off, apparently. And so, because he's arrogant and whatever, at least that's my story. I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but let's put it this way. Maybe it was just coincidence, but the following week, code enforcement came by, again with code enforcement. I've owned this property for 20 years. This property has been in the same condition for 45 years. 45 years ago, somebody built an addition. They closed in a patio. It's illegal. You know, it's against code, or rather, it's not. Yeah, it's against code. So they so the electrical inspector reported it to code compliance. Code compliance came by and told me it's a $500 fine per day, blah, 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 if I don't get it fixed within 30 days. I talked to him now. They were very gracious. That code compliance was fantastic. Said, listen, not a problem. I told him, listen, we're pulling the permits. We're doing the architectural drawings. I'll be keeping you updated. Said, it's not a problem. I will keep it. I just wanted to know, just keep me aware. I just want to know that there's some progress being made. As long as there's forward moving progress, there's no issue. And I'm not going to say 30 days or nothing, no hard rule like that. And I appreciate it. Now, the guy tried to talk me into getting a variance, which would have given the city of Sweetwater, let's see, $2,000 or $5,000. And in the end, if one neighbor, which my tenants didn't get along with their neighbor. So if one neighbor complains, because they all get notified, then your money's lost. And it doesn't make any difference because I can get a variance to accept the thing, but it still has to be inspected and under code. So there's no point. The whole thing was too close to the property line. I knew it was against code after they told me. I mean, I didn't know beforehand because I never gave it a second thought, because all of those places are butt up. Well, there goes my half a minute. Anyway, so long story short, too late. About $12,000 later, and I just gutted the building. I demolished it, paid for demolition plans. I had to pay for a driveway because now that with the demolition, I actually had to get a driveway because the driveway was not up to code. Any type of building plan, you have to have up to code. So it was a nightmare, and they wanted money. Well, in the middle of all of this, I should have waited a year. I wish I could have waited, but it was code compliance. In the middle of all of this, the building inspector got fired for corruption. Half the building department was thrown out for corruption. They found the commissioner taking bribes, or one of the officials. No, it was horrible, horrible, horrible. And it just goes to show, well, I mean, good. They got theirs. Well, I got mine, because as second that thing was past code, put it up for sale. I said, to hell with this. I know it's perfectly fine now, and there's nothing they can do, but you know what? I've had it with that area and the renters and the code and the taxes. $6,500 a year for this little 2,400 square foot duplex, and the insurance, $6,000 a year, and that's for just plain liability, or fire. Well, anyway, took the money, went up to Lady Lake, bought a few properties up there, because $500,000 buys a lot in the adjoining areas of it's not Lady Lake, it's near the county. Anyway, Central Florida. I'll just leave it at that. And bottom line is, oh man, it's been producing, it's, the people are wonderful. The renters are wonderful. Half my renters, and I say half because now I got multiple properties, half my renters are actually fixing all their own property because they don't want to see the price go up. And me, I keep the price.
You're depositing checks, baby.
Hey, you keep paying, I'll keep the price the same. You stop paying, well, then I'll evict you and raise the price, and then the next person will worry about it. But it is what it is, and I got to tell you, I'm very happy with the move, to the point that when it comes time to build my house, I'll get rid of the other properties I have here, and at that point I'm going to have to hire a property manager, because when you got 3, 4, 5 properties is easy to handle. When you got 8 or 10, now it's a burden
Mm.
to have to chase down all that rent and deal with all the no. I it's crazy, but
Yeah, I can imagine. I've got the one property I live in. It's enough.
yeah, and that's a handful. Just my own property is a handful and stuff. I'm sorry, Mike. Limit switches. Yeah, I know. I did already forgot your question. Give me a sec. I'm looking for them. I had a bag of them here. Where did I put the bag? Okay, well, let me go grab a set of limit switches and show you what they look like. Hang on. All right, now let me do it this way. Hang on. Clip this thing on here. All right, so these are the limit switches. Just simple. There's just simple roller switches, and they're in the normally. You can have them normally closed or normally open. I like to have them normally open, so any one of them could set it off. They're all connected parallel. They're all connected in parallel, so the one wire will go to here, and it'll continue to the next, to the next, to the next. And so, what you have is here you have in the bundle that I send out. There's a 12-foot, a 6-foot, a 12-foot, and another 12-foot. The 6-foot is from your box to the y-axis, and then the 12-foot is from the y-axis motor. One of them, you don't need them on both, obviously, to the y-axis or the y-axis end or whatever to the x-axis limit, and then the next one goes through the drag chain up to the z, and they connect to each other. You'll see they have a male to female, male to female, male to female, and then the last male with on the end of the 6-foot connects straight to the JaviBox to switch number 2, input number 2. And I hope that sort of does that answer your question, Mike?
And then any limit switch that's thrown, the motor stopped turning.
Right. As soon as any one of those clicks on and they're shorted, then the trigger is the limit switch trigger is triggered. Assuming you have it programmed, which I do on the profile on the one that I send you.
Is that XML file?
Yep. Okay. The XML file that I have. If you go to, it's super easy to mount. You're going to have to figure out how to basically, without getting in the way of any of the other parts, you can figure out how to mount it so it's, so the gantry, basically I would mount it somewhere on the piece of wood where the gantry will hit it, and then the other one, same thing, where the Z box hits it, and then the other one, that's a good one. The other one, the Z one, you might have to either attach some things or stick it in the Z box. I'm not sure.
Would it make any sense just to not install them at all?
It's an option. It's an option. There's a lot of people that run without them because they're just too lazy to install them, and they don't need to install them.
If your design doesn't go off the cutting area, why would you ever need them?
Well, I'll tell you, limit switches you only need for safety's sake, so your design doesn't like you said, so it doesn't go off. But if you're cognizant of where it is, you don't need limit switches at all. Now, homing switches are a different story, which people interchange the two. It's a little bit of nomenclature, but a homing switch is used for homing. A limit switch is used to stop the limit switches will stop and produce an error. The homing switches will only be called upon when you reference all home. And when you reference all home, what happens is the following. You go to, let's say you go to Okay, so yeah, let's do it this way. So you go, the machine is here, and it will go. It'll go first. It'll go to the Y, click and back off, and then it'll go to the X, click and back off near the 0, 0, and then it'll go up to the Z, click and back off. So now, if you have homing switches installed and you have uh, and let's say this is your 0, and your homing switches are over here, because it will go past the 0, 0. Your machine actually will go past your spoil board if you've designed it that way. And then so you can go click over here and then have it go zzz, exactly this distance, and then you go click and it'll go zzz. Now it is exactly at 0, 0 on your spoil board. That is the ideal situation. That's how I do all my machines. I make sure that X and Y are at the exact corner of my spoil board. So whenever I install start doing a piece, I could, if I wanted to, clamp it down right on the starting at 0, 0, so I don't have to ever set an X 0, Y 0. All I got to do is butt up the piece against the corner and I'm done. You do have to do your Z zeros with it, and that's why we have a touch plate, and that's why we have a touch plate.
I think my workflow is just going to be slap my workpiece, bolt it down, and then move
it to 0, 0 and set 0, 0.
Plate, yeah. And I'm going to touch it down, and then wherever it is, that's going to be my 0, 0.
Okay. See, that works.
That seems easy to me. Maybe I'm overcomplicating.
No. You're absolutely right. I mean, again, this is like, yeah, exactly, Mike. You'll be using them as limit switches as opposed to homing switches. If you want, you can switch in Mach 3. Just switch all the homing in ports and pins. You could just switch all the homing ones off. I mean, sorry, all the limits off, and just do the homings, because they're all set to port 3, number 2, which is the necessary numbers for that one. Well, anyway, but yeah, you could just disable them. They're enabled, or take the check mark off the limit switches, or it doesn't matter, because if they're only going to be clicked when it goes off on the left, and for the homing, then the limits, it doesn't matter whether the limit switches are on or off. Anyway, yeah, Matt, people do different different styles all the time, and it's like I'm not one of those people who, I see it all the time on Facebook. It drives me up the wall. What was it? The one I saw today? Today I saw one that the guy was talking about. There was this one guy talking about an XYZ, one of those touch plates. The Bill Griggs sells one. It's, I forgot what it was called, an XYZ plate or something like that. Or it's a touch plate with a screw and an alligator clip on the end of it. So you put the alligator, it's a touch probe. You put the alligator clip on your bit, you put the touch probe underneath, zzz, boom. This is an XYZ plate, which it comes with a macro, so it will go down, touch the plate, and then it'll go boom to the left side, to the left side. It'll do this whole little thing, so you can actually set X and Y with your bit, theoretically. Your bit is different widths. So, but anyway, that being said, this guy said, this is just a piece of aluminum. Why can't you just cut a piece of aluminum? No, or I think he was complaining because they charge too much money for this piece of aluminum. And on the one hand, I would say, if I was the average person, he's got a point. It's just a piece of aluminum worth maybe $5. All you got to do is cut it. And then another one, somebody else said, no, but this is precise. And then the first person said, well, if your machine is precise enough to cut the aluminum to that. Why can't you just do that? He goes, bottom line is like these guys are just sometimes I wonder what. So I basically chimed in, which
That's like driving to the next town to save 10 cents on a part. You burned more gas than you did to just pay it 10
yeah,
cents
and
more.
I chimed in and I basically said, look, guys, it's like it's
Life's too short.
the
Jesus.
price is not just the materials. I mean, I put it much nicer than I'm saying it right now, but I basically said the price is not the materials. The price is this guy's design, this guy's research, this guy's time, the machine time, his branding, his advertising, the cost of his company,
The accounting. Yeah.
the account. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. Apparently, anybody that's been shouting out, "Hey, it's too expensive," has never been in a real business. Never.
Yeah, heard
And
that.
if they have, they didn't charge what they were supposed to. So I mean, honestly, sometimes people frustrate me when they say, hey, what is it? It's just a couple pieces of wood. How could it be worth that much? It's just a couple pieces. It's just a piece of metal. It's worth that much. I had
Yeah,
I think it was Michael
preaching to the
Chipser.
choir.
Michael Chipser actually once commented in a post that um, you can get the JaviBox a lot cheaper if you buy all the parts yourself. Come on, tell me something else, Captain Obvious.
Ring, ring, pick up the clue phone.
I mean, yeah, and if you don't pay me $7 an hour, you won't have it built either. I mean, and you'll save some money. But I gotta tell you, and then you'll be like half a dozen others that have purchased all the parts. Let me tell you, I'm telling you, 1/3 of my customers, they purchased the parts, they tried to put them together. They either got really tired because it was a lot of work, and they just didn't have the stick to it. They want to get to the fun part. They want to get to cutting wood. They don't want to be working on electronics when they're cutting wood. They thought, oh yeah, it's a nice little thing. It's not a nice little project. It's an intense or B, they put it all together, didn't work. Then I had one guy said, I tried for 2.5 weeks. I tried every combination of wiring and I could never get it to work. And
it's like people who build their own PCs. I'm like, are you nuts? Like, you really got to know what you're doing, because the motherboard people will complain it's the RAM people, and the RAM will say it's the graphics card, and the graphics card it's
CPU,
a circling firing squad. Like, you can't get anywhere with it.
Absolutely. And I've built a number of PCs in the past, and I could tell you, there's a lot of it's gotten worse now. And before it was, you had back in the day, you had Cyrix, AMD, and that'll show my age.
Intel.
Yeah, it's Cyrix, AMD, and Intel, and Cyrix was good. Cyrix at one time was the fastest. You could overclock it, no problem. AMD would always burn out if you overclock it. Intel, you could overclock, but it wouldn't work very well. So they pretty much. Well, anyway, at the time, this was 486 days, but nowadays there are God knows how many different styles of memory. DDR1, DDR2, DDR3, DDR4, DDR4. 6500? No, it's 3200. No, it's PC. It's like a bunch of. Is it DIN? No, it's SODIMMs. What? Okay. Your head explodes if you don't know what you're doing. And then and the
I
cooling.
made the mistake when I was younger of buying all the parts and building a PC, thinking the collected PC would be worth more than the parts. It's actually the opposite's true.
Oh, absolutely.
You buy the PC, you strip it down, and you sell the part. Then you make profit. Oh, yeah. So I learned that the hard way.
Yep. Well, and here's the funny part, Matt. It depends on the timing. Because there was a time, and I remember vividly, there was a place, I call it Airport Row, but it's off the airport. There are a bunch of warehouses here in Miami with most of them owned by Indians from India. And welcome. How can I help you? Oh, yes, we have this, we have this, we have this. And then they will happily sell you the parts. And for them, it's super fast turnaround because you know how it is with technology. It changes day to day and week to week. So next week you'll have a completely different technology, and the stuff that you paid $100 for the week before is now worth an order. You know, but so I would go there, and it was so funny because we went through. It was like a sine wave. One time, and this was during say during the '90s, during the mid '90s. There was a time where I'd buy a Dell computer or an Acer back then, and it was super cheap, and you could not get that level of quality from the parts. And then 2 months later, you could buy the parts and build it for half the cost of a Dell or a complete computer. You'd have to know which is. You basically have to. I would, and I was building these for friends, and all the time I was upgrading my friend. That's how I accumulated so much crap in compute. I had maybe a third of a room full of 5.25-inch drives, and because they give me their old PCs, they don't need them for anything, and so I'd strip them for parts, and I'd keep them, which is the big mistake. And some time ago I threw them all out. Well, anyway, I'd have to always constantly be searching, going because they don't have any prices on. There was no online back then. They at least not for them. This is a direct. This is like the what is it in New York? The Village? No, not like the garment district. You go there, you get the deal you can, but you got to talk to them face to face. You got to wheel them down and then leave. Well, same thing here. I mean, you'd go there and say, "Oh, yeah." I mean, they'd give you the prices. You can't do much wheeling and dealing, but if you buy a lot of stuff, you could get some discounts. But you got to go there. You got to ask all the prices, and then you got to come in with the price of the whole unit in your head and see, okay, is it worth it?
Yeah, that's much. That's a little bit much.
Yeah. But oh god, those days were. But yeah, it's so funny. So this guy online was complaining about the price, and it's
don't buy it.
don't
That's
buy, exactly.
No pressure. You don't want it. Don't buy it.
Exactly. Don't buy it. Don't complain
gun
about
to your
it.
head. Wow.
Yeah, it kind of frustrates me sometimes when people, complain uselessly about, I'm complaining about them, but that's not useless. That's productive. Yeah, it's nuts sometimes.
That's why I like digital sales.
Oh yeah.
No returns, and if there's a refund every now and then. Whatever.
Yeah.
Digital, baby.
I hear you, and I'm. I wish mine could be that way. Actually, I will be. Eventually, I'm going to be when I get my shop up and running. One of the first things I'm going to do is just start building really cool things and making plans. I mean, literally making plans. Hey, I'm making plans. This is the one time I'm using the word literally properly. Literally making plans and selling the plans online. Because
you're literally and figuratively, because you're planning the future
and figuratively. There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Hey, did you hear I won the Instructables contest?
Congratulations! That's excellent.
Second place for my soundproofing hexagons made out of pallet wood and scrap bath towels.
Nice. Well, it's so funny you mentioned that because there was a guy that I was watching as far as for soundproofing, and maybe you saw his, and that might have inspired you. There was this guy who actually used old towels to soundproof.
Yep.
And
That's the one I saw.
Yep, and it's fantastic. I mean,
he made the traditional poster size thing. I want badass hexagons. Hexagons are a cool shape.
Yep, exactly. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that is so cool. Yeah, I was I was looking at that because I have been getting into so many different things as far as just refreshing my mind as far as building procedures and things like that. And one of the things that I'm looking at is and Jamie Page is going to be on my I should have you on one of my shows. Jamie Page is going to be on my show this Saturday.
Huh?
And then the week after, I think I'm going to make, because Javi Unbox is not just CNCs, it's just about everything. So, but it's a regular fast-paced show. It's not just chatting or, it's I don't want to say it's scripted, but it's a little more, it's not just casual chatting and moments of silence.
Yeah.
So the following week, I thought, you know what? This is an interesting topic. And a few people are interested in it already out there. And it's construction, but it's maker related, whatever, which is radiant barriers. Because people don't realize the difference. I mean, if people knew how to properly install a radiant barrier in their house, they could save hundreds on their electric bill.
You talking insulation?
I am talking. See, it's difficult to say yes to that because it's not actually insulation, but it is insulation. It is a way to it is a way to insulate your house from heat, but insulation implies usually insulation implies a barrier for conductivity. Heat transfers in three different ways: conductivity, convection, and radiant, and through radiation. Okay, so let's say convection. That's the easy one. Airflow. Convection. So all you got to do is seal up your house and make sure there's no gaps from the hot spaces to the cold spaces, and no heat will transfer through convection. Done. Then there's conduction. Conduction is, you grab an ice cube. It's physical touch, basically, if you want to think of it that way. You touch an ice cube. Hey, Chris, how's it going? And you're basically giving off heat from your hand and melting that ice. And the heat transfer happens conductively. And that depends on the conductance, and I'm talking thermal conductance, not wires, of the two objects touching. Water is an example of the difference between thermal conduction and electrical conduction. Pure water, and I'm talking distilled pure water with no impurities, has zero electrical conductivity, but it has thermal conductivity. So if you have hot water, almost boiling, distilled, you put your hand in it. Well, actually, if you can actually have distilled water doesn't boil, but at a much higher temperature it boils. So you could actually put your hand in, and immediately it'll start boiling and burning your hand. But you drop your phone in it, it'll still be working, and there will be no electrical. It's like dropping in an alcohol. There's no. But as soon as you put the slightest impurity,
because your hand's dirty.
Right. It'll dissolve, and that's the end of it. People have in the past, they've heated a, and this is, this has happened. This is why when you put a cup of hot water for tea or something in the microwave, you heat it up, then it cools down, then you put it back in, you heat it up. Let's say you heat it up, you do that a few times, and you, in essence, kind of purify the water. if you heat it up, you may grab it and it might touch some impurities and all of a sudden instantly start boiling. It's happened to some people where they've actually heated water in a microwave past a normal boiling point, and as soon as you drop a tea bag or something in it, almost an explosion. Because it's, well, anyway, getting back to the heat transfer. Now the last one is radiant heat. Radiant heat is not the actual airflow, but it's actually through it's radiation. Okay? The sun. You're out there, sun beating down on you, and all of a sudden you're getting, tan. That's radiant heat coming on you. Would you believe that if you put a piece of aluminum foil on a stovetop and you put your hand over it, you will not burn your hand? I mean, a couple inches away. You will not, because the aluminum foil will stop the radiant heat, because that is radiant heat. You take that aluminum foil away and you can't hold your hand. You'll burn your hand in seconds, if not milliseconds, putting your hand that close to a 1500 degree or whatever, to a very hot plate. Now, but this is the secret to radiant barriers, because they sell radiant barrier. First of all, most of the radiant barriers, they make them out of aluminum foil, because there's basically aluminum is 97% on average. The most reflective it could be is 97% for aluminum, silver 98%, gold 99%. I don't know about you, but I'm not putting a gold foil.
But that's why they wrap
that's exactly why they wrap the satellites in gold. That's exactly why. Now, here's the key, though. There must be an air barrier on one, if not both, sides of this thing, of the sheet. One side. That's all you need. One side. That's why you see a lot of. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but at the depot they got insulation with silver on one side, or sometimes both, so you can put it either way. Sometimes you have, hey Russ, how's it going? Join us. I sent you the link. No, I'm all dirty. Okay, so the second thing, so it's got to have an air barrier. So, because why? Here's what happens, and I'm going to explain this all again on the show. So, aluminum is 97% reflective for radiant heat, but it is very heat conductive. It's not radiant, it's conductive. So if you put while you put let's say you put a piece of aluminum foil on a stovetop, and the radiant heat's not getting through, or at least the bulk of it is not. Let's say you put it on low. You won't feel any heat at all on the top. The second your hand touches that aluminum foil, burn, because now we're talking conduction.
So the aluminum itself is getting hot, but it's not throwing heat off of itself?
The aluminum itself is getting hot. Well,
it's conductive.
It's conductive. So it will conduct heat from one medium to another. It will not radiate heat. It will reflect heat.
That's why you can move your hand 2 inches above the aluminum underneath the flame and not get burned.
Exactly.
But if you touch the aluminum, you're burned.
You're burned. And so, case in point, and there have been tons of studies and tons of YouTube videos on this. If you install a radiant barrier properly in the attic space or whatever on half your house, and you go outside and you put a thermal camera and measure the temperature on one side and on the other, the shingles on top, I'm assuming shingles, the shingles on top of the radiant barrier are going to be 10 to 15 degrees hotter on an average Miami or Texas day. 15 degrees hotter than on the part that doesn't have it.
Why
Why?
is that a good thing?
Well, here's the thing. It's not going in your house. It's being reflected up. Now, people don't realize, oh, but they're going to ruin my shingles. They're going to look, shingles are made to take 200 degrees plus. They have the Underwriters Laboratory has tests where they place a blowtorch for an hour and a half on a shingle. Hour and a half. And that's the time. Oh, well, if it goes over an hour and a half, then it fails. I mean, come on, folks. That's 1,500 degrees or 700 or, uber degrees, not 75. So the radiation will go, what happens is the following process. Radiant heat from the sun will heat the shingles. Conductivity will allow the shingles to pass through to even the wood, because the wood, as insulating as it is not fiberglass or anything like that. It will allow heat to pass through, and it will radiate off the wood. That's what causes your attic to be 150 degrees on an average summer day in many places. If you don't have it, if you have it,
it's like an oven.
That the greenhouse
Everything's
effect.
hot. Everything around you's hot.
Yeah, the greenhouse effect. The reason why greenhouses work is because you've closed in the heat, so there's no convection. You can't release the heat through convection. You're gaining heat through radiation, through radiant heat.
So the silver stuff up against the wood or near the wood
the silver stuff up against the wood will reflect the thing. Now, it doesn't have to be up against the wood. So now here's the thing, and I'll have drawings and all this on the thing. Okay, sorry. Did someone tell Matt you need muscles to wear a muscle shirt? Leave it to Jim. Yeah. You can't be Canadian. Well, I can't say that either. I was going to say you can't be Canadian and have and tell a good joke, but that's clearly not true. So, because all the funniest people are Canadians, and I don't know why that works. Anyway, Second City Television. So, now here, okay. So now follow me on this. You have your roof. It's radiating heat. You have your radiant barrier. Now you have your radiant barrier on the inside part. It will not reflect heat in the open spaces. But obviously, if you know the structure of a roof, the roof is nailed onto something. The roof is nailed onto trusses.
Mm-hmm.
Where the truss touches the radiant, the roof, conductivity happens. So at that point, heat is being transferred again through conductivity. You're still saving tons of heat by putting that reflective barrier, because in all those other spots now,
the
there's 15
inches between the studs.
Exactly. The 15.5 inches between the studs, there's not going to be any heat. Now, what happens? The stud itself heats up and radiates heat. It doesn't have aluminum, so it radiates heat. All right.
That's a much smaller percentage of surface.
Much smaller percentage, right? Now, the way I would do it is on the bottom of the studs, staple the foil. Instead of buying the spending ridiculous amount of money for wood, just use regular sheeting, plywood, and staple the foil. They sell for 1,000 square feet for $200. Put the foil in between the trusses, stapled onto the trusses. So now you have one continuous barrier, except for, obviously the sticks, the cross being, the supports of the trusses. And then if you do that, you stop all radiant heat, and you just reduced your attic space from 150 degrees or 120, or however, it depends on your neighborhood. Obviously, this is more effective in the south than it is in the north. And then and it's brought it down to maybe 90 to 100 degrees tops inside because there's no radiant heat in there. Then the second step to insulating properly is, of course, on over the ceiling, you put the fiberglass. Fiberglass is for conduction. It stops conduction. It's got a lot of little air pockets, so if it can't touch, it doesn't conduct. So by the time the heat gets to, there's very, very little heat. But there's a big difference between using R19 insulation, using 6 inches of insulation to stop 90 degrees when your house is at 70, and to stop 150 degrees when your house is at 7. And then what happens is it won't stop it. It'll be warm. And again, drywall, certain amount of insulation, but again, conduction goes right through. And there's the.
So you're going to talk about this concept on the show?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't engineer a product for home building, have you? This is just your knowledge, right?
No, this is just something that I've known for years. It's just that it used to be a pet peeve of mine. One of my pet peeves in construction. There's a lot of them that, if people don't build things right, they do a half-assed job. And I've seen some builders, or worse, do-it-yourselfers that will go, oh yeah, I'm putting this on my roof, and then they put the shingles. They put the reflective material, and they figure, you know what, it's going to reflect back off the roof, so let me put the reflection on top. Because it's towards the sun. Because there's so much misinformation out there. It's not. No,
you just said the foil has to touch the top of the wood roof.
No. The important thing is this: the foil has to have an airspace on one side.
Oh, how do you pull it away from the wood? How do you add that airspace?
That's just it. When you're, let's say this is the truss. Okay, I'm stapling it here, so there's always an airspace here, except for like I said, the sticks. But you can't get away from that.
How can you staple something with an air gap? I'm not following.
Oh, the air gap has to be on one side, only one side, at least one side. It's if I staple it here, there's air here.
Below it.
But
the aluminum is smack against the wood.
That doesn't matter. It will not radiate heat.
You've got a whole roof full of empty cavity.
Huh?
The whole open space of the attic is open air. Isn't that enough?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Okay. I guess maybe I didn't.
You slap the insulation up against the plywood of the roof.
Okay.
Let's not even talk about the trusses.
Okay, not the truss. Okay. If I slap it against the plywood of the roof, here's what happens. And Jim kind of said it right here. Boom. The studs, well, in this case, the trusses, act as a thermal bridge.
Let's not even talk about that. Let's just talk about the bare wood of the roof itself, the sheet wood.
Okay, the sheet wood. Put it on the bottom side. You have the whole attic open airspace, right?
So put it on the bottom side means you take the aluminum side of the insulation and you smack it tight up against the wood sheet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the open air is behind it.
And the open air it depends what you mean. It's in the attic.
It's in the attic, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. You're fine. You're fine. But okay. And this is what I'm trying to explain. What about the trusses?
Just wrap them in aluminum.
Okay, that you can do. Not a problem. You can wrap them in aluminum and you're done.
And I'm golden. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything.
Okay. Well, the reason I was saying do it from stud to stud is because that way you'd use less aluminum. You don't have to wrap them in aluminum. You can have one whole sheet reflecting, but encasing the aluminum. Let me see if I got a. Hang on. I should have a paper here. Let me get a paper.
All right. Dave says inside the attic on the bottom of the trusses, Matt.
Yes, inside the attic on the bottom of the trusses.
Oh, Portal Woodworks is here. He says, "What in the blazing Sam hell is going on here?" Javi's educating me.
Yeah,
David.
Okay.
Good to see you, David.
Conduction.
Good to see all my friends out there. Oh, and Russ, are you still there? Yeah, I wanted to talk to you. He's helping me through the cancellation of the Maker cruise, and he said I probably left some money on the table, and if I call him and tell him this, that, the other thing, I can get a couple more dollars out of him. So I wanted to cut you a deal. You call the cruise line, pretend to be me. I'll give you all my information, and you get the more money, and I'll cut you in on a percentage of the deal if you deal with the headache. Deal, Russ? Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay. Now let me see if any of this shows up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hang on a second. I'll do it the easy way here. All right. Now, all right. Okay. Now, this way is the way you're talking about. Okay. Wait a second. Sorry, I'm upside down. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Here we go. This is the way you're talking about. Okay. These are the trusses. Just a cutaway view of the trusses on the roof. If you put a thermal barrier, if you put a radiant barrier up against the plywood roof on the inside, this is the attic down here. Yeah. What will happen is through conduction, it will transfer the heat to that truss.
Yeah, the truss is naked and it's
truss is naked and then it's radiating heat. Yeah, you could wrap it, but that's a heck of a lot of wrap. The other option is this: you take, hang on a second, you take the thermal barrier and you staple it, truss to truss. Obviously, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These cavities don't. Now, first of all, these cavities you should have on the bottom the soffit opening. There should be a good airflow because the other thing you don't want is for this thing to get moisture. And then you should have a ridge vent on top. So there will be airflow dissipating heat through convection. Because remember, we talked about
right up to the ridge vent.
And it's going right up through the ridge vent. So through convection, it'll dissipate the radiant heat. And and that's it. And then the conductive heat has nowhere to go except through pretend.
If you did that first method, you wouldn't have the what do they call those baffles? The little things that go from the.
Well, you don't need baffles. You just need an airspace. But the
sometimes they have from the soffit.
Yes,
they have these ridges, so the air can come up along the wood.
And they make those for when you insulate.
Yeah, the loose fill insulation.
Well, so the loose fill, or if you want to insulate.
Okay.
On top. Because if you insulate, you don't want to insulate up against the roof. You want to have that airflow. And this is mostly for ice dams, but it's also to prevent moisture because if there's a difference in temperature, you're going to end up with moisture.
And you're saying that gap of air that's floating, it's harmless. Doesn't do you any harm.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Yeah. You separate it. It doesn't make any difference. That little area of air.
Like it would be much easier to install it your way.
It would be much easier my way, particularly if in my case, I have the trusses up and the drywall of the ceiling is not up yet, because they sell 26-inch lengths, so I can go truss to truss all the way from the top to the bottom, leaving a space for the ridge vent on the top. leaving a space for the soffit vent on the bottom, and airflow will flow behind it, but the whole, basically, if you look from the floor, you will see nothing but silver up near the trusses, and you'll see trusses sticking out.
Oh, doesn't the silver have fluffy stuff on one side of it?
No,
Or is it just a silver sheet?
It's just a silver sheet.
No fluffy stuff?
No fluffy stuff.
No fiberglass or whatever the material
You could
is?
get it, but there's no point to it.
So you're going to be like the inside of a wrapped turkey. It's just going to be like, it's going to be like an 80s shiny themed.
Yeah, it'll be basically, and here's the funny part. Here's the part that you're going to find kind of hilarious. I'm going to have I'm going to have a hip roof, not gables. So basically, I got my own personal pyramid to protect me from aliens.
Yeah.
No, but in the end, and it, I mean, there are, in the end, like I said, Matt, the radiant heat will reflect back up into the shingles. So the whole roof will be hotter by 10 degrees.
Right. Big deal. Okay.
Big deal.
Now here's the question. My final question before I got to jump off. I got to jump off soon.
Yep.
Could you just get extra thick aluminum foil and tack it up?
You could. Really? You actually could. This product is, well, the product, first of all, is pretty cheap. It's actually a thinner layer of aluminum foil, but it's embedded in it's as tough as a tarp.
Okay.
See, so this product is, and it comes in a roll. So it's pretty decent.
I guess it's ruggedized, or it's strengthened.
Yeah,
somehow.
Absolutely. You try to do that with aluminum foil, my God, the first bug or cat that crawls in there just tear right through the whole thing.
Oh yeah, like
but
if you got a raccoon or a bat or something.
Yeah, they have foil, and then now on the walls, it's a simple procedure. On the walls, what you do is you put a piece of insulation, like 3/4 inch insulation, as a spacer between the exterior wall and you just put it up against the exterior wall. And then you put on the inside of the stud, resting on that is basically your radiant barrier. So now your walls are also protected. It doesn't matter as much as the roof, but radiation comes through the walls as well, radiant heat. And people don't realize how much this actually affects your electric bill. I mean, we're talking a difference of an average of, I mean, I spend for $300. I spend $250 to $300 a month. It'll easily drop my bill $50 a month.
I'll pay for itself in no time. You said
it'll pay for itself.
$200 for the roll of aluminum.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's similar to Mylar, Jim, but it's a poly something or other one of the polys.
Cool.
Product. In fact, go to Attic Foil. The manufacturer that I like the most. There's a few manufacturers. The one that I like the most is atticfoil.com. Go to atticfoil.com. They got tons of videos on the subject, and they'll tell you how to put it up and all this. And it's let me tell you, it's a great product.
Nice. Good deal. Well, Javi, I think I'm going to jump off. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Not at all.
Good talking to you, brother.
Likewise. Glad to see you. I'm just chilling. Let's see. I guess I might as well finish this panel.
Bye, Dave. Bye, Jim. Bye, Russ.
See, Russ never showed up.
Bye. Who else is out there? Paul was out there. Troy and Ed were here before I got here. So is Robert.
Yep.
All right. If I'm missing anyone, bye. Okay. Take care, Javi.
Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for dropping by, Matt. Let's see here. Where was I? I was here. So Jim used isocyanurate foil faced on your home when you resided. It made a big difference. Yep, yep. Good stuff. Soffit vents and ridge vents. Yep. And a gable vent fan works. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the other thing. I mean, radiant barrier is great, but if you don't want to go through the whole trouble, and it's a lot of trouble, then get yourself a lot of fans and good airflow, and the convection of the air moving through will considerably take away the heat that the radiant heat is produced. I mean, you use them all together. You use all these things together, and then you're guaranteed to save money on and stay cooler. And they say cooler, but it also will keep heat in. I mean, as long as you have your barriers and stuff, it'll prevent heat loss as well. But anyway, let's see what do we got here. X. So let's do X. So this Saturday, folks, it's going to be Mr. Jamie Page on the show, and hopefully I'll see if I can get him to talk about his trip. It's always an interesting conversation. Back a few years back, he came down to the States, and he's from England. See his impressions of our wonderful country. And by the way, folks, I do have to apologize to everyone. I have monetized my channel, and unfortunately, I have no control over which ads are placed on my channel. And I have noticed that YouTube is placing a bunch of stupid political ads, and Biden is there. And so just so you know, I do not share the I should do that in the front of every video. If you receive the Biden ad, I do not share the the views expressed in the ad are not necessarily the views of this content provider. Cathedral ceiling. 2x4 added on the edge for each truss. And then, oh yeah, absolutely. That's the way to do it. And last but not least, let me get this little one over here. I know it is. It is funny, Tim. I mean, it's just that would be pretty good. I gotta do that on one of my next videos. It says, if you are watching this and you have just come from a Biden ad, I would just like to state the owner does not necessarily the expressed opinions here, blah blah blah, whatever they say. Okay. Now for the fun part, the testing of the wires. Okay, leave those two out. And next roof may be metal if I do it. A lot of roofs with new plate. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do metal. I really like shingles. I like the look of them. I don't like the look of a metal roof. Little too commercial for me. I'd rather have, and heck, with it should last 40 years, and I'll be gone by then. So I don't. Well, I don't know if I will. Well, 90, I maybe still be here. But definitely gonna do a shingle roof this time around. My parents and a lot of people in Miami are big on these barrel tile roofs, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan. If I thought for a second I could get a if I thought for a second that solar shingles would be worthwhile or a good return on my investment, I'd get them, but jury's still out. All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Poof. Let's see. Continuity, folks. Continuity. All right, that would be 4. Let's grab my wonderful controller here. Oh boy, I left my guess I'll be doing this manually. I left my screwdriver in the yeah, I've seen the barrel that looks like the metal that looks like barrel tile. And I don't know. I guess I don't think I want to pay for the expense of a shingle that looks like a metal shingle that looks like slate or something like that instead of just actual, a shingle. It just doesn't make any sense to me to have to I mean, a metal roof is one thing, but a metal roof that looks like one of the others, I just have the other. Oh, the joys of opening these stupid things. Yeah, I got to tell you, folks, it's a lot easier with the screwdriver, with the electric screwdriver. I wonder if I have not. I don't even have my other one here. Okay. Last but not least, this stack. Yeah, I'm still debating whether I want to do a lot of the stuff myself or have it subbed, but I'm leaning toward doing it myself. I've got the time, I've got the inclination. As soon as I start construction on it, I'm really looking forward to the build. And of course, sharing it with everybody, because I stopped sharing for a while, and I'm going to start again because now after they made me get rid of the container, I mean, I've got nothing on the property. The only reason I stopped is because I got a letter saying, "Hey, you can't have a container on the property." And then if I start putting YouTube videos out, yeah, I don't. There's just so much of myself I want to share, and when I find out that something I'm doing is against code, the last thing I want to do is thumb my nose at anybody, or not make it seem like I'm thumbing my nose at somebody. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the build. I'm going to see if well, this week I'm working on a few things, but I'm going to see if I get a chance to edit a video or two and upload them. Speaking of which, let me take a look, because now that I'm monetized, I'm kind of curious to see what my analytics look like. And that would be, bear with me for a second, folks. I just want to take a quick glance at something. Well, I'm rich, folks. I'm rich. Let's see. I am pulling in an average of, stand by. Let me do the calculations here. YouTube is generating an average of 23 cents. Yes, folks, 23 cents a day. Oh, wow. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, number 3. Number 1. I'll probably, okay, so hang on, let me see where, but there are still houses here with real slate roofs. Many people are skilled enough to work on them. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's been a long time since I've done a slate roof, a long time. Used to do them with my dad, and it's not that it's hard. Well, I guess it takes a certain amount of skill, but it's time consuming, is what it is. Very time consuming, at least for me. guess if you have a skill, then a lot less time consuming. But anyway, yeah, I'm also going to sub out a bunch of work, but the roof, I think I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think I'm probably taking that on myself. I'm not sure, had to be one. Okay, where's the other one? Just dropped one of my. Yeah, I'll use this one. All right. Great. Wrong type. Oh, here we go. Three. Two. Part of me is looking forward to moving the container because I don't know. It's another chance for me to move a bunch of stuff and sort through it and inventory and all that. But well, but part of me is still, upset that I even have to do it, all of that. But why can't people leave well enough alone? Let's see. V minus, V plus. V minus, V plus. This will be one. This will be the other. And let's see here. Where is my? Here they are. Here's 24 volts. Again, if you guys want to talk about anything under the sun, just let me know, and I'm happy to share my thoughts. Anything goes. Let's see. So we got, okay, this is the output. These two will connect to these, to these two. And we'll likewise connect to two more there. Okay, so I'll need two small ones. All right. Yeah, let's see, what time is it now? 9:39. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a night, folks. If you guys would like to join me in person, I am going to go ahead and post a hangout on my Facebook forum. So Maker Hangouts, which is my Hangouts forum, and I will be there live and chatting to anybody who wants to talk. And face to face is always fun. So you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all